The governor of New York has accused US President Donald Trump of a lack of support in fighting the coronavirus pandemic. As Amanda Walker explains, Mr. Trump has rejected the claims, the president exploding on Twitter.
It's becoming a partisan issue, and what you're seeing is the pressure being put on states that simply aren't ready. And what President Trump outlined yesterday was this Opening Up America plan. And, widely it's been viewed as pretty measured, saying that you can only qualify, a state can only qualify for the beginning of the 3 phases if they have a 14-day decline in coronavirus cases. And even then, phase 1, for example, is very much like what we're dealing with now in terms of the restrictions that it puts in place. So he said himself that this is all very sensible and very measured. And then today, he's gone into overdrive. He doesn't like the way that Governor Andrew Cuomo from New York is talking about this. So he tweeted, of course. He said, Governor Cuomo should spend more time doing and less time complaining. Get out there and get the job done. Going on to say, stop talking. We built you thousands of hospital beds that you didn't need or use, gave large numbers of ventilators that you should have had, and helped you with testing that you should be doing. And that's part of the argument here, because Donald Trump has been all over the place on this. Initially, he said that he has absolute power over the states and it's up to him when America reopens. Then he conceded the reality and the truth, which is that it is the governors who call the shots when it comes to what their states do and don't do. And now you have this situation where he's saying, over to you, separate states, while governors like Andrew Cuomo are saying we still need federal support. Now, what he's also been talking about is these protests that have been going on in certain states like Minnesota, where a small number of people are coming out, perhaps a growing number of people, but still the majority of the American public, 81%, support restrictions. But we're seeing these protests in these states. Donald Trump watches Fox News, we know that, and after they had shown footage of these protests, Donald Trump tweeted, liberate Virginia, liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota. And that's along the lines of what some of the banners in those protests were saying. Now, and that's pretty incendiary. He's really stoking those protests there. And they are all, interestingly, states that have Democratic governors. And they're also states that are by no means in a position to even start those phases of reopening. So there's been a lot of criticism of Donald Trump for that. Yesterday saying, let's be measured about this. Today, stoking protests in states that simply aren't ready to even think about reopening. They're not even close to a 14-day decline in cases.